All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to headline BKFC 30, which transpires on October the 1st. The BKFC Cruiserweight Championship going to be on the line when Quentin Henry and Lorenzo Hunt toe the line and knuckle up. And happy to be talking to Lorenzo on today's show. How's your day going so far, man?
What's up, Bernie? It's a good day. Very good day. Good workout. Good training session with Elvin Brito up here in the mountains, and I'm loving it, man. I'm gonna be in amazing shape for this fight. The humid as hell down here. It's the hottest it's ever been since I've been here on the training camp, and all of that translates into speed and power and higher metabolism, and oh my God, I'm gonna be incredible.
Yeah, I love hearing that. Always seems like there's great work had out there in Puerto Rico with Elvin Brito and everything like that. Like, it seems like one of like the places that's like preeminent for bare knuckle training nowadays. Do you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, I actually got a house out here.
Oh, cool.
I'm here enough training with these guys, and Britton Hart comes here, Joey Beltran's comes here, a lot of amateur fighters come here, and so I'm here so much that I just got a place, and we kind of made it a second home.
Yeah, it seems like there's a great team dynamic there, just like a lot of like camaraderie as well as high level work being had. Like, how important is that confluence of that dynamic, just like that supportive dynamic, but great work being had as well?
I mean, you can see it. The proof is in the pudding. The people who train here have either been champion or have recently become champion or will soon be champion again. It just worked out that way. Before me and Elvin started training together out here, none of us had titles. Now, all of us have titles. So, yeah. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like, we don't have to talk about how it works. We just know it works.
Yeah, for sure, demonstrable evidence in that regard. And also, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a happy belated birthday shout out there. I saw it was your birthday a few days ago.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm old but spry.
Yeah, it's a good time though, with this looming fight coming up and a chance to cement yourself as a dual division champion. Like, what was the excitement level for this one? Just like getting the chance to become the cruiserweight champion as well, and just kind of add to the resume even further.
It's been such a long time coming that the butterflies have grown. They were little caterpillars, turned to butterflies. Now, shit, they don't bother me at all no more. Actually, like I told on the last show, I've been in the number one contender seat for nearly 2 years. When I went through that whole craziness with Hector Lombard, I was already the number one contender. That's the reason I got in the ring. That's the reason I was there, because I was supposed to be the champ already. And so this is just like basically a formality when it comes to nominating me the cruiserweight champion, because I already am.
Yeah, that is fair, just like based on the prior competition you faced, as you alluded to. But in the discussion of competition, like, how do you see Quentin Henry's acumen? Like, what does he really bring to the table in your estimation stylistically?
I'm the best bare knuckle fighter in the world, in my own personal opinion, not non-biased. But Quentin can fight. He can hit. He's a big guy, He can swing a hammer. But I personally believe it's going to take more than he has to deal with me. I'm very versatile. I'm very creative, and the longer the fight goes, the better I get. You've never seen me tired. You've never seen me really hurt, fall, or stumble, aside from the Trujillo garbage. But it's going to be a very rough fight for Quentin Henry. Very rough fight for him.
I saw you had a post a little bit ago too, about a few weeks ago at this point, where you were saying don't feel bad for Quentin Henry. He's chosen his path, and in his mind, he's the hero and I'm the villain. And that's kind of an interesting phrasing. Like, do you feel like he's, I guess, looking at you in a certain way leading into this, like just looking at you as a villain?
Well, he's bit the proverbial apple, as they say. and he's more concerned with my internet persona than he is with my skill level. He's been watching the show. So he's made it up in his mind that he's some American hero from some pastime cartoon or whatever, and that I'm the bad guy that needs to be put in check. Man, whatever. If you had went through what I went through to get to where I am, you would be the champ, but you're not, because you didn't go through shit. I was 6-1 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. I should have been the champ a long time ago. People didn't even know me then. I had more fights then than I accumulated since the Hector Lombard nonsense. I had more knockouts and everything. But no one recognized my genius until I jumped in the ring and challenged Hector. So the same thing that propelled me to stardom is the same thing that people don't like about me. You tried to steal the spotlight. Whatever. Haters gonna hate. And Quentin's just another hater.
Yeah, you talk about like the backstory and everything like that. Like I saw a post you had a little bit ago where you were saying you remember standing in Salvation Army lines with your little sister, and you had like a young mother at the time out in the freezing cold and everything like that. So, I mean, I feel like just, that kind of upbringing would really create like a sort of hardened kind of demeanor and like a lot of like fortitude and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I guess like people, maybe should endeavor to learn more about the backstory a little bit.
Listen, people will always believe what they want to believe to justify their narrative. If Quentin wants to be a superhero, I have to be the villain in his eyes. He can never see me as anything else. But I'm gonna show him the hero doesn't always win. Just because you call yourself a hero doesn't mean you're a hero. And so this isn't Hollywood. Right? I'm a fighter. That's what I do. That's all I do. That's what made me to this point. When you see me, when you see that strength, when you see that persona, I'm not a made up figure. This isn't a costume. I'm not waking up every day trying to dress up like the guy from Duck Dynasty, like yeah. Quentin Hero is. I'm not selling anything. This is who I am every day. And it's very, very hard to beat someone who knows who they are. I can knock a Halloween costume off you anytime, any day. I can knock your Halloween mask off.
Yeah, I think the authenticity on your end definitely comes through, which isn't to say I think Quentin Henry's inauthentic necessarily, but yeah, you definitely come through as like an earnest kind of guy. And I mean, you definitely have big goals there. And to that point, I'm kind of curious because in past conversations we've had, you've eyeballed even becoming a 3-division champion. I mean, obviously you're not overlooking this next task per se, but would the pursuit be to acquire a 3rd belt or more so defend 2 of the titles you would already have if you get the ideal outcome?
Well, I'm going to say without a shadow of a doubt, I will be defending my 185 belt. And after I defend my 185 belt and leave the 185 in shambles, I'm going to leave it in shambles, then I'll pursue the heavyweight title. Quentin Henry is just a stepping stone. He was the unlucky guy that had to be sacrificed in order for me to be the first world 3-division champion.
Yeah, so I guess next eyeballing kind of task at like 185 would be like the winner of that Richmond versus Doolittle interim title fight, and then maybe move up to higher divisions.
Well, I have to check the schemers. I have to check the schemers and the rats and the roaches that try to creep in and eat when you leave food on the table. I'm not leaving any food on the table, so to speak. Just because I reached for the 205 belt, you got Mike Richmond and Doolittle gonna hurry up and rush to sneak in an interim title fight so that they could be crowned and 185 champ without actually having to fight the champ. How disgusting! How childish! What better way to prove that that you're not a championship quality than to try to steal a championship, which is why I whooped Hector Lombard ass the way I did, because he stole it. They don't get it. It's not a good idea to steal from me.
Yeah, so that seems like a fight you...
That pissed me off. An interim title for what? I just defended my belt. I just defended it against Joe Riggs. I didn't get offered another title defense. As soon as the ink dried on the contract for the 205 title, there was a interim 185 title fight. Hector Lombard sat on the 205 belt for a year without defending it before they tried to vacate him, before they eventually vacated him. Thiago Alves sat on the 175 belt for a year, and nobody came and said, interim title. I defend my belt, and not 6 months later, there's an interim title fight with two weirdos trying to scream, I ain't deserve it. He doesn't want it. He's on the 205. What a clown. You just lined yourself up to get your ass whooped, because as soon as I beat up Quentin Henry, and I'm going to do it in such a vicious fashion that it's going to make Doolittle and Mike Richmond not want to win. They're not. He's going to like, no, you take it. No, you take it. They're going to play hot potato with that motherfucker. And I'm they're not going to want it, bro, because as soon as I whoop Quentin Henry ass, I'm cutting weight. I ain't leaving nothing for you clowns.
Yeah, because I saw you had that post a few weeks ago where you were saying, like, Mike Richmond is a duck and everything like that. So, yeah, some intriguing fights to be had in the 185-pound ranks going ahead, it would seem like.
He's a duck. The organization knows he's a duck. Everybody knows. That's why I didn't get the fight. You think they not letting me fight Mike Richmond because they think something gonna happen to me? No. Me and Mike Richmond fight is a assault. That's criminal. But since he put himself in this position, if he wins the interim title, what do you think's gonna happen? He's gotta fight me. Dummy. Damn dummy. He should have just kept fighting around and getting a couple of paychecks and left the gold out of it. I call it fool's gold.
Yeah, it's an intriguing time.
A couple of shows. Same thing with Joe Riggs. Joe Riggs fought me for the 185 belt. If he would have fought just a regular fight like he did against Josh Dyer, he wouldn't even had to fight me. He could have fought anybody and put a show on in his hometown and been a hero. But no, you gotta reach for the belt with the crazy guy beating everybody up. So then he got beat up and embarrassed. Same thing's gonna happen to Mike Richmond.
And it was kind of interesting before, like, you talked about some of the frustrations with, like, you know, Thiago Alves not being a very active champion when he had the title, and similar with Hector Lombard, and you seem to endeavor to be an active champion and looking to do so seemingly in a couple divisions. Do you take a lot of pride in that, just with the previous frustrations of some other previous title holders?
I mean, look at it. If I'm active and I'm kicking ass, and like, why would you challenge that? I can see if I was somewhere hiding away, getting fat, eating donuts. Nah, I'm right here. So you can pretend like, oh, there's an interim champion because the champion can't defend right now. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I'll fight whoever wins out of Mike Richmond and Doolittle before the year is out. And I'll still be warmed up from whooping Quentin Henry's ass. They stoop. They don't think. They are not chess players. They do not think. There is no strategy to the goofiness that they do. It's just dumb.
Well, I think we've talked about that before previously, too, just like the fight IQ being one of, like, the bigger, I guess, variables in your favor there, and that would also seem to extend to just how you look at the career progression, too, like, outside of just even, like, the in-ring kind of machinations and stuff like that. So, yeah, it seems like that's coming through, too.
One thing is easy to see is the actions of a coward, like watching a rat. If you turn the light on, it's going to run. Know what I mean? Mike Richmond acts like a tough guy on the internet, but he could have fought Francisco Richie for the 175 belt. But I think he was scared of Francisco Richie, and I think he was scared of me. So what'd he do? If Lorenzo Hunt goes to 205, I could fight Doolittle. I could fight Doolittle for the 185 belt, and then I'll become the champ by default. That sounds like a coward. That looks like a coward strategy. That seems like the actions of a rat. But everybody think Mike Richmond's so great.
Yeah, he seems to have endeared himself to a lot of people just with his fight style and everything like that, and just being a former Marine and all that. But yeah, I mean, I guess like in the fight game, you gotta
propaganda, garbage that'll get you put in the ring with a gorilla. Like, go, you're a Marine, get in the ring with a gorilla. It'll be okay. They taught you how to hold your breath. Man, are you crazy? Are you sick? Whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm just laughing because honestly, I don't know if you guys noticed. It's gotten a lot easier at the top. And that's not being arrogant or nothing. That means they're softer at the top. They're softer. They're sneaky. They're conniving. They didn't make it to the top because they were the best fighters. They made it to the top because they kissed the most ass. That's why my record is 9-1. I've been fighting. I ain't had time to kiss no ass.
Yeah, so your perception is like you got it more through just the merit of your efforts and your victories putting together as opposed to, maneuvering behind the scenes, as it were.
How would you rather be the champ? The best fighter in the world or the best ass kisser? Because when the bell ring, you can't kiss my ass and make me stop punching you. So me personally, I would like to be the champ on my merits. You know what I mean? I would like to be the champ based on my abilities so that my abilities can protect me when I get in the ring. But, hey, to each his own. Everybody's entitled to their own philosophy to the fight game. You can duck and you can chuck and you can chuck and jive and you can kiss all the ass and sell all the tickets. Go ahead. Sell them. Get your mom some, get her front row seats, get all the people from high school tickets so they can watch me whoop your ass, dummy. You sold tickets to your own funeral. That's dumb. That's never been my strategy. But hey, who am I? I'm just the champ. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a very intriguing situation for sure, and just interesting that you want to be so active throughout this given year and everything like that. But I was noticing also recently you were part of some more BKFC tryouts and everything like that, which you're no stranger to. You've been a part of that fold for quite a little while now. Like, how important is it for you to kind of come out to those events and sort of impart the insights you have, like you said, as being the champ and everything like that?
I want to put on the BKFC, the first BKFC event in Jacksonville, and in order to do that, I need Jacksonville fighters. I also like to be active with the up and coming fighters and I like to show them the way. I became champ from the tryouts. Nobody gave me nothing. I didn't kiss no ass. I didn't get no free contract. I didn't come in based off some garbage, a couple submissions in another organization. I came in through the tryouts. I proved I was the best guy, and now I'm the champ. So the tryouts are very dear to me. And when I see those young, hopeful, hungry faces, I just flock to them and I try to help them get in where I got in. And hopefully we'll get some really solid, really hungry fighters out of those people, because those are the people who become winners, the regular people, the hardworking people, not the spoiled ass brat people with the large following on Instagram. It's the people who have the best work ethic who become champions, who should become champions, who deserve to be champions, who will be active in defending champions. those people are the winners.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic and cool to see you still interwoven into that fold there. But I guess I kind of had one random question just with the backdrop of us previously talking about like the heavyweight title as being like a future kind of prize. Like in that sort of training camp, would you, I guess, make any changes being that you'd be going up to heavyweight? Would there be more like a strength and conditioning kind of focus, or like how would that camp look different?
I would just be allowed to eat. That's literally the only difference. Every time I train, I have to fast. I fast and train. So I work harder than I ever worked on less food than I ever ate. That's the thing. I'm a natural heavyweight. I weigh 230 pounds normally. And if I ate, and I still don't eat like other people eat. I don't eat fatty foods. I don't eat burgers and garbage. If I was able to eat freely, like eat steak and lift weights and stuff, I'd probably be even bigger. I have NFL players in my family. I'm actually the runt. I have a cousin who's 6'9". I have a cousin who's 7 feet tall. I have Kareem Hunt is the running back for the Cleveland Browns. He's my first cousin. We race each other, and it's kind of gangster. Like, I'm small in my family. I could definitely be bigger, but I've been on this vegan trip and a liquid diet. So when you see me, you're seeing a shaved down version of me. One day I will bust the heavyweight world wide open. One day soon.
Yeah, appreciate those insights. Definitely an intriguing sort of idea. But one of the last things I wanted to touch on here, because I saw a post on your Instagram with you on the red carpet with Channing Tatum. What was going on there?
I was invited to a charity event for autism and stuff like that. It was for like the Tulsa Ball or something like that. I kind of forgot, slipped my mind. But it was pretty awesome. They invited out all the stars to come out and bid and give donations and to give out awards. And I was lucky enough to be chosen to, come out and have a good time. It was pretty awesome. It was called Culture Ball 2022. It was actually amazing. Channing Tatum got an award. I got to talk to him about his upbringing and how he suffered with learning disability and stuff like that. I got to meet Zion, the little guy with no legs. He'd probably be a pretty big guy if he had him, but he's pretty awesome too. He shook my hand and his hands felt like sandpaper. He was strong. I mean, real strong. And I'm strong, but he was strong. And I was like, wow. So I got to meet some pretty awesome people. I got to meet Jade from AEW, and I got to we got to hang out with a lot of the AEW wrestlers and Britt Baker, and oh my God, it was an awesome night. Vanilla Ice and Flo Rida, and it was pretty cool to be in there with all of the superstars. I should have brought the belt. I usually take it everywhere. I was slipping that time.
That sounds like an awesome night, though. I mean, I'm glad you had a fun time, and cool that there was that, awesome cause attached to it, for sure. But always appreciate getting to talk to you, Lorenzo, but I do want to be mindful of, again, what I presume is a busy schedule. So to that point, is there maybe anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody, I am the champ for a cause. The National Alliance to End Veteran Suicide is a cause that's near and dear to me. If you go to my website, it's www.juggernautshunt.com. You can look at some of the reviews. You can keep up with the stuff that's going on with me and the BKFC. You can see where the donation money goes, and you can see the reviews of, us buying people wheelchair ramps. And just we're going to try to do a big thing for Christmas. So if you guys can go onto the website, check it out, see something you like, at least sign up. No money. You don't have to donate anything, but if you see a family in need, or if you see something, or if you find it in your heart to donate to the National Alliance to End Veteran Suicide, you can do it through my website. You can do it through their website. Just check me out. And if you got Instagram, go on my Instagram. It's The Juggernaut Hunt. Simple as that. And you can see some of these amazing fights that I've been talking about, and then you'll know why I'm so confident in my abilities.
Yeah, well, that's an amazing cause for sure. People should definitely check that out. And yeah, definitely give you a follow for sure. And to reiterate, I appreciate you making some time ahead of this BKFC 30 Cruiserweight Championship fight, Lorenzo. So thanks so much for that. And just looking forward to checking out the fight. You have a good rest of your day, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Anytime.
All right, in this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to headline BKFC 30, and that goes down on October the 1st, the BKFC Cruiserweight Championship. Going to be up for grabs. We have Lorenzo Hunt knuckling up and towing the line against Quentin Henry, and happy to be welcoming Quentin onto the show for the very first time. How's the day going so far there, Quentin?
Man, it's going pretty good. Been doing a couple interviews here and there. Got a workout in already, so got a haircut. Not a bad day.
Yeah, it sounds like a good day getting ready for the fight and everything like that, but just talking about some of the work you're getting in. Like, I'm curious where you're mostly training. Like, I felt like I saw a Dement Bros old school boxing post on the Instagram there, but also Hero Fitness Academy seems to have been shouted out. Like, where are you mostly training before this fight?
Well, Hero Fitness Academy is my gym here in West Monroe, Louisiana. So, and then Jake Dement is my boxing coach I've been working with the past about 2 years, I guess. We've known each other for a long time. We just finally joined forces a little while back, and so I usually go see him usually twice a week, and he'll come over here and see me once, and then the rest of the days I'm over here training at my place. Jeremiah Riggs will come in town a few times, give me some rounds, get some work in. He's only an hour away in Vicksburg, so I got some help.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in a good area for that. So he would be like the main, I guess, I guess that leads to a curious question, because like bare knuckle is kind of a curious thing to prepare a camp for, just because I would think it's very difficult to spar with all the prevalence of cuts and everything. So how does one go about preparing for a bare knuckle bout? Are you mostly just like drilling the boxing kind of work? Like, how does the methodology change specifically to bare knuckle, maybe as compared to when you took your MMA bouts previously?
Well, we do, I do a lot of, most everything I do is bare knuckle. I mean, we do a lot of sparring. We wear boxing gloves, and I think you just have to be mindful when you spar that that a boxing glove isn't the same as bare knuckle. It can fit into smaller crevices, or it's not as big of a shield to block with, that type of deal. So, as long as you're still sparring and fighting with the same tenacity you would without gloves, you can still emulate that. I guess it just depends on what level you're on. Me and Jeremiah do a lot of sparring with like MMA gloves on, because that's about as close as you can get, to bare knuckle. Throw on a little cream or a little Vaseline and strap up. We're pretty tough guys, so as long as we don't get cut, we're good.
And bare knuckle's an interesting sport too, because in a lot of like normative combat sports, like a lot of like the defensive considerations kind of like center around like the gloves being present and stuff like that. Like, how do you go about being defensively responsible in a combat sport where it's largely devoid of like the normative defensive consideration with the gloves? Like, how do you go about mapping out that part of your game?
Man, that's the question everybody wants to know. That's the quest that we're all on. In this sport more so than others, it's very important not to get hit. Because it doesn't even have to be a shot that rocks you. If it just catches you right, and it opens up a cut, that's going to end up stopping the fight. So being able to move, have good head movement, and then always being in a place, to lower the chances of getting hit. Working on having your hands up. It's not it's not much different than regular boxing in that aspect. It's just the risk versus reward factors is a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. And just an interesting thing to talk about, because I was seeing a previous interview you did where you were talking about how, bare knuckle is like really becoming its own sport. And it seems like there's more discourse around like some of the fight IQ in the game, as opposed to like really early on where it was more like almost like bombast and spectacle, and people were still trying to figure out what was going on in the early BKFC days. Have you noticed that additional focus on the fight IQ and talking about the sport in that kind of way more so?
Yeah, you definitely have. I mean, even if you just watch, my progression through, from my first fight to my last couple fights, and that's just where the sport needed to go, because it was so fresh. We were still learning a lot. We had to interesting to start seeing the styles evolve. And then, some of these guys already have a name, and, it's interesting to see how certain styles work better and some certain styles aren't working at all, that you thought would. So that's one of my favorite things about bare knuckle is it's, you can either make it a boxing match or we can make a fight. And they allow us to do that by being able to clinch. And so if you're getting outboxed, then it's time to fight. And if you're not wanting to fight, then maybe it's time to go do some boxing.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying the way the sport has been developing, even from my perspectives and everything like that. So cool to see that you're, looking at it from that kind of vantage point as well, too, and everything like that. But I'm curious about this matchup, too. Like, I imagine you were quite excited when this sort of came your way there, just being that it's, yourself as the present number 2 ranked contender and Hunt positioned at number 1 and there being a belt on the line. Like, what was your initial reaction when you kind of had this bout offer come your way? Were you almost expecting it in a certain sense, just the rate of success you've had lately?
Yeah, I felt like it was coming, in previous conversations I'd had with Dave on, fights I'd taken and stuff, and this was the plan, as far as, if I win X amount of fights, then that lines me up for a title fight. So, they came through on that. But, to finally hear it come out of Dave's mouth was a rejoiceful moment. I'll say that, because it was official. So, man, I'm just super blessed and super grateful for the opportunity, and I'm just really excited to kind of, have a chance to go out there and show what I can do.
And just with like you being the person that has like the more localized kind of presence here, just being like the partisan kind of favorite to the Monroe sort of audience, like, are you a fighter where that, creates a compounding sense of pressure? Does it almost like galvanize and further inspire what you're bringing to the table? Like, where do you sit in that kind of conversation?
Oh man, having people there hollering for me just makes me better. I'm the opposite of that. Hometown pressure type of thing. I'm used to these people. They know how I am. So I've been trying to proving myself to them over and over again. So when they come out and start hollering for me and all that, all it's going to do is just get me fired up. I look at this as a wild ride. I'm living a dream. There's very few people that get to do something like this, and so I'm giving it my best effort, and what happens happens. So pressure is just just something I'm not worried about.
Yeah, and this is an interesting fight coming up here, just in the sense of you're facing a guy who's regarded as like the number 2 pound for pound ranked fighter, a current champion in a different weight category, most wins in BKFC, etc. Like, beyond winning the title and everything like that, like, what do you think a win does here in terms of like vaulting you even further in the hierarchy of BKFC?
Man, I think a lot of people are sleeping on me, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't carry out the antics and I don't act wild and have the attitude, but it's always the quiet kid in class is the one you don't want to mess with. So I think that there's people that think I'm going to win, and then there's people that think I'm going to get destroyed, and there doesn't seem to be any in between. So, really for me, I'm looking forward to opening a lot of people's eyes, because I'm not understanding how they're not seeing it my way, but I like the chance to go show them. That's why this is so much fun. They can say whatever they want or believe whatever they want, but October 1st, we're going to find out.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one because it seems like there's been a level of banter kind of heading into it, and I was speaking to Lorenzo Hunt, actually, and he was giving credit to how powerful you were and everything like that, but he made a comment to the effect of he felt like you were almost a little more concerned with his internet persona than his actual skills, and then also called you a hater at the end of it there. Like, what do you think about that characterization? Like, are you kind of, because you talked about the internet persona before, how you don't necessarily project that out there into the world. Do you see Hunt as someone who maybe does that? And I guess, what are your thoughts on those comments?
I think this is his identity. I think fighting and who he is on the internet, that's where he gets his joy, and I feel for people like that, honestly. But I'm just not that guy that's going to sit there and make myself someone I'm not to sell tickets or for whatever, especially if it's something that's going against, what I feel about morally. But I try to speak from, I guess, an intelligent aspect or perspective on things, and I just don't see the point in, talking garbage and talking trash and just being nasty for no reason. I respect him as a fighter. I always did. I don't respect, the trash talk and all that. I firmly believe you reap what you sow. And, I've definitely been served a couple helpings of humble pie in my life, but the more you talk, the bigger that helping gets. So, that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and I mean, your nickname being the hero, I've seen in some other interviews you kind of described Hunt as the villain, and I think he was kind of picking up on that too when I was talking to him. Like, I mean, what makes him villainous in your estimation? Like, you're talking about maybe some of the social media antics and stuff like that, and I guess there was that viral clip at the Joe Riggs weigh-ins where he, like, shoved the tomato in his face and all that. Like, what does, I guess, Hunt do in your estimation to, be villainous? Is it just because he's in a combative binary with you, or has he done something that you would describe as him being a villain?
He's a bully in general. I've been trying to fight him for a while now, and he always ends up getting fights with guys who shouldn't even be in there with him. And that's my personal opinion, but you can look up their records if you want to, and then we can have that debate. And, I've never liked that. The people that are just always trying to take the fights they can win. And then just, he's so disrespectful just in the way that he talks and the things that he says. And, I feel like as a fighter or as, a quote unquote celebrity, if you're in the public eye, then you should be a role model. You should be something that people want their kids to grow up into. And Lorenzo Hunt is the last thing that I want my kid to grow up into. He'll, be jumping over strippers when he's clocking out one time. And then, the next day he's talking about, let's bring your kids to the show because it's a family show. And, it's just he's full of hypocrisies, and he'll say whatever he wants or whatever he feels he needs to at the moment. And I'm not like that. I'm real life, and I'm about real life. And so he can go his way, and I can go my way. But I'm sleeping good at the end of the night.
Yeah, you mentioned being a father and wanting your kid to have a role model to look up to. I understand you have two boys there. I saw Thomas make a bit of a cameo on the Bare Knuckle show there, and it seems like Mason is pretty regularly chilling there. Are they kind of at an age now where they're like aware of what you do in like a, I guess, comprehensive enough kind of way? Are they still figuring it out a bit? I guess I'm wondering if it's like a my dad can beat up your dad kind of scenario or not.
Right. With my daughter's 11, so she definitely gets it. Because she's been, out there enough where people are coming up talking to her about, my fight or something. My boys, they I guess they kind of understand what I do, but I don't think they understand what level I do it on. But they're blissfully unaware, I guess you could say. I'm just dad. They still think they can beat me up.
I think you were even saying on the Bare Knuckle show, one of your lads tries to step to you every morning. Do you think he'll transition into the martial arts at some point? I mean, I think you were saying that you are going to teach your sons how to fight on a base level, but does he seem like he has that competitive fire, or maybe too early to even tell?
No, yeah, he's definitely, the younger one is definitely being made over in that aspect. He loves to compete, he wants to win, so, and it just came about him by, my older one's a little more laid back. He's going to be the one that knows it just to know it, you know what I mean? Like, don't mess with him, but no, my little one, he enjoys it. So, and I've got another family that had just started my jiu-jitsu program, and they have a 3-year-old who's about the same size, but he's the youngest of like 4 boys. So he's kind of on that same level with Mason. So, he's already started doing a little jiu-jitsu training and stuff. He wants to do it. My 5-year-old is like, oh, we have jiu-jitsu today. That type of deal. My 3-year-old's like, we go to the gym? Yeah, all right, let's go to the gym.
Yeah, and you mentioned the academy before and just kind of mentioned some training that you and like some technique you impart on different people as well. Like, how much does that, I guess, grow your own skills as a martial artist? Like, a lot of fighters I talk to, when they, teach technique to other people who are kind of on the come up, it even get like bolsters their understanding of it that much more. Have you kind of found that in your experience too?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've always been a huge believer in that. If I can teach something to somebody else, it just helps me remember it so much more. And I'm constantly doing that, even when when I didn't own the gym and it was my dad's gym. If I would go train somewhere or learn something new, we were always coming back and we were teaching it to each other. And that's just kind of how my gym started out, was just a bunch of guys that wanted to fight, and we would all, we'd either figure it out ourselves or we'd go find somewhere else and try and figure it out, and I've just kind of kept that same vibe and that same tradition going where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear there, man. And something I saw that I thought was kind of fun, I saw there was a Father's Day post you tossed up where your son said you were 21 feet tall. Do you find it difficult getting fights locked down, being that you're 21 feet tall?
Right, yeah. It kind of, you should see the reach. People don't even understand it.
No, that's fun, though. I quite enjoyed seeing that. But something else I saw also that I thought was interesting, there was a post that seemed to indicate you were getting in some substitute teaching work. Like, what are you generally teaching when you're, in that substitute sort of spot? I thought that was an interesting sort of post.
Usually I'm at elementary schools, so we do every subject, really. But I've done junior high school a few times. I mean, there's just kind of a shortage of teachers right now, or definitely for substitutes. So, I just step up and then I go do some subbing when I can. There's a couple of elementary schools that really like me, so they call me on the, I'm on their list pretty regular. I hadn't been doing anything this school year since I've had this fight. I've been so busy with stuff, but I'll pick back up after this fight. But I prefer to go with the little kids. They're more fun.
Yeah, I have a buddy who substitute teaches, and he seems inclined to feel the same way in that regard. But I feel like when you do have those instances of like substituting for high school classes, maybe they're asking about the fight background a little bit more. Like, do you ever get situations where like the high school kids are aware, or even previous classrooms that knew what you did as a fighter and were just rattling off questions and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I don't tell them when I show up. Like, I don't throw that out there. Just there ends up being one that knows me, or one of them will ask me. They're like, "Hey, are you a boxer?" And I'm like, "Yep. Let's keep working here." But I usually try and use that as an incentive to get them to behave. If they start asking me questions like that, I'll say, "Look, we get this done. I'll answer 5 questions for y'all, or I'll talk to y'all however long you want. We got to finish this work first." And kind of set that to the side for some of it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. I think, all of them have Chromebooks now. So, it just takes one of them saying something and then them being like, huh? And then they'll look at my name written out on the board and they'll Google it, and then all these pictures of me pop up. They're like, "This is you?" I'm like, yeah, that's me. They're like, no, this ain't you. I'm like, yeah, that's me. So, but yeah, man, it's fun. It gets you out of the routine of, kids make you feel young again, get to just not worry about stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like once you become an adult, you start fretting about something that maybe becomes like minutia after a while, just like thinking about things you don't necessarily need to allocate that energy to, whereas there's a certain innocence being a kid, just a certain unbridled sense of just, pursuing what's immediately in front of them. So I can get what you're saying in that sense.
Yeah, and then you look back, because you'll see them get upset, and I'll just be all worked up about stuff, and I'll be like, and you start thinking about when you were a kid, you did the same thing, and I'll be like, "Hey, man, listen, it's not that big of a deal." Like, grand scheme of things, you're fine. I know you're worried right now. I promise you, like, don't stress too much. But, yeah, I mean, I like it. It gives me opportunity to kind of, tell them things that I wish I'd have been told, growing up, especially the high school kids. But I enjoy it, when I have the chance to go do it. The high school and junior high kids, they're more boring because I don't get to do anything. The teacher leaves a detailed, plan, busy work for them to do. I'm really just like a babysitter with them, so I just sit around and read the whole time. But the elementary kids, I get to interact with them, take them through the lessons, and it's elementary school, man. It's nothing I don't know already, High school, I was teaching an advanced math class one time, and I had to get one of the other kids to teach it. They came and asked me something. I'm like, "Hey, you know this, don't you?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Come over here." So, but that's it's just something out of the norm, keep the routine fresh.
No, it's just cool to hear, though, man. Like, it seems like, I mean, even like earlier in our conversation, talking about like what it means to be a public figure and a role model and everything. It seems like when you fought Chris Lieben, you were very much looking at him in like that kind of way, like putting him on a pedestal. And fair enough, obviously a legend of the sport for sure. It seems like you're relishing like this moment you're in now where you're kind of being looked at in like a higher sort of regard and inspiring people. It seems like you really relish in that sort of moment and those kind of moments, I guess.
Yeah, man. I think we all have our purpose. And I think that I struggled for a long time, wondering what mine was, and but I used to tell people all the time I wasn't really concerned about where fighting took me as long as it gave me a good platform to help people out. And I think ultimately that's God's plan for me, is to just have the biggest platform I can, and He knows that when I get that platform, I'm going to do good things with it, and so He just continues to see that through, and that's I've finally realized that. I've got confidence in that, and so I'm not, as far as stressing about fights and things like that. I'm just me, man. I'm doing every day the best that I can, and what's going to happen is going to happen. But at the end of the day, it's going to be what it needs to.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good viewpoint to hold, I would think, and everything like that. But something I saw that I thought was intriguing, you retweeted Daniel Cormier in the summer, and he was asking if like Macho Man ever ended up beating Hogan and stuff like that, and you retweeted it, and you're like, oh, not that I recall, and it's a damn shame. Were you a wrestling fan when you were younger? Is that something that like inspired you when you were a kid and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, my generation, I feel like, was the best generation of wrestling when we had, The Rock, The Undertaker, and NWO. Oh yeah, it was WrestleMania, Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. Oh yeah, I was huge into wrestling. Mondays and Wednesdays we was watching it. Macho Man was definitely like an iconic figure for me, and guys my age, and I always used to get that Macho Man reference too. When people look at me, and I guess my voice is a little bit gruff.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge Macho Man guy.
Have you ever done that? I feel like that'd be an easy Halloween costume for you, just doing the Macho Man getup. Has there been any thought to something like that?
Yeah, I did Macho Man at Comic-Con one time.
Oh yeah.
And it was perfect. I had the purple shirt with the sunglasses. I was rocking that one. Had the haircut. We were good to go. Had the headband. It was a hit.
Yeah, that was an awesome era for sure. I'm kind of around your age as well, and yeah, just so many different like old Halloween pictures when I was younger, just like being Wolfpack Sting or like the biker Undertaker or whatever. So yeah, it's always fun.
Sting was a popular one. I remember that.
Yeah, that was always a good one for sure. I loved sending her for the different Stinger costumes and stuff like that. But you've been great with your time, Quentin, and I appreciate you coming on the show and giving some great insights and all. But I do want to be mindful of your schedule and the rest of your day and everything. So to that point, is there maybe anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up?
Parting thoughts. Man, I just really want everybody to tune in and watch this fight. I'm doing all the things right. I'm working hard. Everything's falling into place. And I'm just looking to go out there and show people that good guys can do it too. I just want people to know that I'm doing this one for the good guys. and sometimes we win, and you're about to see that.
Well, it's a hugely intriguing fight and one I'm very much going to be checking out on October 1st, BKFC 30. And yeah, just appreciate you coming on the show and giving great insights ahead of this fight with Lorenzo Hunt. And yeah, just you enjoy the rest of your day, man, and looking forward to checking out the fight when it goes down.
All right, appreciate it, brother.